What is up, YouTube? Plastic Guy here, and today I will be showing you a reptile deck. It's mostly reptilians and some other stuff that I threw in there, so let's begin. Desferal. It's a flip card, it's a reptile, lets you pick any monster in your graveyard and shuffle it back into your deck. I find it when it's helpful when you're in tough spot and you need to get like a Winkaribo back, or a level card back, and you can just like Foolish Burial again and get level modulation back, or something that helps you out in mid-game. And then cards that I just threw in there because they're awesome: Armored Lizard and Ancient Lizard Warrior. There's normal reptiles that can be used to exceed someone really fast. I don't have an extra deck for this. I am working on it. Well, technically I do have an extra deck on it. It's King of the Feral Imps, but I'm not going to use that right now. And the non-reptiles, I run two, all because they have good effects and are awesome. Chaos Sorcerer. We all know what he does. I'm just going to put him in my camera. And then a card you guys might not be familiar with, the End of Anubis. It stops any effect in the graveyard from activating. Yep, the target's a card in the graveyard, or that activate in the graveyard. This is really good against my gravekeepers. Stupid, it's not in my gravekeepers though. And now we're on to the true form of the deck, the reptilians. Or actually, I'll show you the non-reptilian cards, and then I'll show you the reptilian cards, and then I'll show you the level cards, because it is a reptile level deck after all. So the non-reptilians that are reptiles. 2 Worm Apocalypse. When they're flipped, they destroy a spell or trap, but that's really good. Balloon Lizard. Every standby phase he gets a counter. When it's destroyed for every counter, the opponent takes 400. I find that's helpful. Screech. Put him in there just because he's a reptile. Here's a card that I think is helpful, really, against a Boojin deck, a Fire Fist deck, anything that isn't Harpies, really. Destruction Cyclone. When it is let me see if I can read it. Yeah, it says when this card is destroyed by battle and sent to the graveyard, destroy all face down and non. Oh God, YouTube. Destroy all face down and non-1 monsters. This is awesome. Boojins are mostly light, so you can stop them, like Yamato, Arasuda, stop them from getting their effects right then and there. I mean, he is a level 8 after all, but that's a price you pay. And then Alien Gray is a pretty basic card. When it's flipped, an opponent gets an A counter when it battles an alien, takes 2. It's the only alien on the deck, so I don't know why I put it in here. All because when it's destroyed, I get to draw a card. Interplanetary Invader A. What this card says is that gain control of a monster that attacks this face-up attack with a certain card at the end of the battle phase. So right entering the main phase 2, you get the card. And now we're on to the stars of the deck. The reptiles, the true reptilians. So let's get started. To begin, I run 3 of the reptilian gardener. When they are destroyed by battle, I can add any reptilian from my deck into my hand. I also run 3 of the reptilian servant. Think all you want, this is not overkill, because these are awesome. These stop anybody from normal summoning. It only has 100 points, but it's like just null away your opponent until they deck out, which is kind of a strategy with this deck, you could say. Reptilian Viper. I also run, Stardust, Scrap Archer, Iron Chain. This is the only tuner in the deck I might add. The only tuner. And when it's summoned, you get control of a card with 0 points, which is by Serpent Suppression, Naga. Speaking of Naga, I run 1 of her in the deck. And then last but not least, the Reptilian Gorgon. When the reptiles are all about 0 attack and field control and functionality. Which, I'm kind of going against that with the level cards here. Oh well. I run 1 copy of the Armed Dragons. These 2 are all about sacking. All about sacking. He is just a pawn to get out the sackers. And then I run a Winkaribo with Winkaribo level 10. He is so good. Oh, damn. Well, they're both good, but this one's better, all because you can sack it in the battle phase and sack your opponent for damage. Silent Magician level 8. Really good. It's unaffected by your opponent's spells to like Dark Hole anything he's got or she's got. He ain't going nowhere. Now we're on to the sad spells. The two cards that affect the reptiles. Molting Escape and Viper's Rebirth. I find it helpful for the fact that as long as you only have reptiles, you can easily get out your King of the Fairlamps, and it can't be destroyed. So you can always get new cards in your hand. The two cards that affect levels, Level Modulation and Transcendent Wings. He is basically for Winkaribo, he's for anything. It may let your opponent draw 2 cards and you have to sack 2 cards, but when you want level monsters, you don't question. 1 ante. It's like Exchange, only better, because then if you win, your opponent's card goes to the grave and they take damage. Don't judge me, I run a Scapegoat. Just pawns. It's Burden of the Mighty. This card is a sack card. Your opponent is screwed. Foolish Burial. This is the level 8 modulation combo. The card that starts it all. It sends a monster from your deck to your graveyard. So you sack Magician, you play Modulation, and you have a 3,500 point beater. And 2 of my awesome sack cards. Back to Square One and Soul Exchange. So let's begin with Soul Exchange. This lets you tribute your opponent's monsters, but you can't conduct your battle phases. That's awesome. And then Back to Square One lets you sack or discard a card, and then you get to put 1 monster your opponent controls at the top of your deck. And last but not least, we have 4 trap cards. Serpent Suppression. Face-up attack position monsters your opponent controls with 0 attack can't be destroyed by reptilians, which is good for Viper. Alien Brain. This is a key card. When a reptile is destroyed, you can take control of the opponent's monster, and it becomes reptile. Slip Summon. This card is not that well known, but I believe Jack used it. When your opponent, I believe normal or special summons a monster, yeah, it doesn't matter what summoning they do, but you get to summon a monster, but it'll go back to your hand at the end phase. So like, if you've got nothing and you just have a bunch of beaters in your hand, booyah, that's great. Then last but not least, Light Force Sword. Pretty basic. If your opponent has only 1 card in your hand, then that's key, because then you can just banish it, and they have nothing. They have no flexibility. I mean, yes, they get to draw cards unless they did like Reckless Greed or something to be stupid. Then they place both those cards face down, and then you sack them MST or something. But I guess that's what you get. And like I said before, my after deck card is King of the Fairlamps. If you don't know what that does, look it up on Dueling Network, look it up on Google. It's everywhere. And as always, thanks for watching, and be a better player.